My name is Marcus Welly. I created a team of paranormal investigators to put clients' minds at ease and help the dead find the light. Using nothing but our gifts and our equipment, we will embark across the U.S. and be locked in for a full investigation. And the only way out is the satisfaction of our clients. Having a passion for the supernatural, we are the Minnesota Spirit Hunters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Spirit Hunters. Today is the interview day that we have all been waiting for because we all just want to jump in and get information about this. This is the pre-investigation interview for the Boyd House LLC, and I can't host this show without my co-host. Please welcome Lisa. Good morning, Lisa. How's it going?
Need to unmute myself, apparently. Hi, everyone. Sorry.
So, we've all been waiting for this. We're all excited about the Boyd House. We've been doing a ton of research and we have a ton of information. And what better to do than to actually talk with the owner herself today and get some information about it, right?
Correct.
I think it's going to be awesome. So anybody watching and you're excited for us to do this Boyd House today is the day to find out a little bit of information about that before we do go in. I do want to kind of introduce some of my other team. Please welcome our camera girl, Jamie. Good morning, Jamie. And our very new investigator. Please welcome Cara. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
And we obviously can't do this without the one and only paranormal consultant. Good morning, Matt.
Hello,
Good morning,
Matt.
guys.
Thanks for joining.
No problem.
And of course, we can't do this interview without the lady herself. Everybody, please welcome owner of Boyd House LLC and St. Croix Paranormal, Jill Shelley.
Hi,
Good morning.
everyone.
Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming on. I think today is going to be an informative interview. We want to kind of cover a few of the basics in this interview and kind of see what we're dealing with when we get there, just so we're not going in completely empty-minded and we kind of know what we're looking for. So first of all, could you tell everybody about the Boyd House for the people that don't know?
So the Boyd House itself was built in 1901, but our deed actually goes back to 1889 when the land was actually owned by the Minneapolis-St. Louis Railroad. So the town itself became a big, booming Wild West town. There was like 500 people at it at one point. As of right now, there is nothing in town. There's like a cafe and a bar, of course, and about 170 people in the town. So it's a pretty dying town.
Wow.
But back in the day, it was big. It was a big railroad stop. They had hotels and restaurants and, grocery stores and hardware stores. Just, you'll see when you come to, I have pictures of the town back in the day of what it used to look like.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of really cool to see. And then our house, it was pretty much kitty corner right on the edge of town. So it was like pretty much one of the first houses that you would have in town. And the house across the street from it used to actually be a livery stable. And then the Boyd House was the first house that had plumbing in the city of Boyd.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of a unique factor to the house. But one of the main families that we can direct the house to is Fred and Minnie Eckhart. And they bought and moved into the house in 1912. And Fred was a very well-respected businessman in town. He owned a very fancy dry goods stores, basically like a grocery store, fancy shoes. They sold everything. Mm-hmm. He also helped build one of the churches in town. He was part of the fire department, on the school board. It's a very well-respected gentleman in town. Him and his wife both passed away in the home. And also 2 of their children have passed away in the home. And one was a little boy who had choked to death. At the house, we do get a lot of evidence that Fred and Minnie are still there. And also we do get a lot of childlike activity. So we feel that some of it could maybe be some of those children that have passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had other people say that the other children are older and they just like coming there. So we think we get a lot of passerbys just because I think of what we've been doing, investigating. The railroad track still runs right back behind the house. So you get quite a bit of energy there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We recently, my team and I were doing like a Estes method. If you guys are familiar with the Estes spirit box methods, we've been kind of doing that a lot. And we were doing it in the attic and they came by and they just said, nope, I'm just passing by. And I'm like, well, what brought you here? And they're like, it's bright. So I don't know if, it could just be like a little bit of a beacon passerby. Cause I do get some names sometimes, like, quite frequently, like Henry's a name I get, but looking back on my deed or anything, I cannot find any information to anybody named Henry, but they didn't keep really good records back in the day. It was also the town line reservation line was right up to the Sioux Dakota reservation line. So that bordered the town as well. So I'm sure there was probably some interaction, of course, back in the day, that's what happened. So there could be a lot of unrecorded deaths that we're unaware of as well. But we also do know of 2 other people who have passed away in the home. Nothing violent. They're just elderly had passed away. So I'm not sure if we get communication with them because a lot of times they don't like to tell me their name for some reason. So
right. I guarantee when we walk in next month, we're going to get a name, and that name is going to be Lisa.
Yeah, they like to spirits like to talk to me quite a bit. Go on any investigation. I haven't been able to get through one investigation without my name being called multiple times. So
yeah,
maybe we can get some new names for you too while we're there. So that would be really awesome to share with you.
Yeah, and I do love having like people who are psychic or gift because I don't, I've been investigating for over 10 years, but I think the only gift I would say I'd have is like I kind of get that feel when I know they're around me. But as far as doing any communication, things like that, I have to do it all through equipment.
Sure.
Tools that have been given to me. So I love hearing from people who have more of that scope beyond because boy, I've learned so many things from people.
Yeah.
Right. And so on the Minnesota Spirit Hunters, we have a lead medium. We have the medium's son, who is also a medium, who works side by side. They are absolutely a great bonded team when they're on an investigation. And then we also have Lisa's daughter in training. So we have a complete 3 mediums on the team.
Yep.
So
and we've been getting some really good results with our mediums and stuff too, which has been really fun to kind of watch them in action also.
Very cool. I'm really interested to see what kind of stuff you guys find.
And after our investigation, there will be I will be like emailing you and seeing what your thoughts are about sitting down and going over some footage that we got.
Oh yeah, sure.
But before we release anything, I want to kind of go over everything with you yourself. And say we got a new name in the attic. I want to make you known of that so you know what's going on up there. So, right. So, but I think when we go to places and sticking on the name subject, when we were at Ripley's, believe it or not, earlier in 2021, that is the first time I've ever heard the Spirit Box say a name. That name was Lisa. And I absolutely freaked out because I never heard a name before. It said it as if it were standing right in front of me and talking to me. And so you could hear it plain as day. So going into the Boyd house, knowing that you only have a select number of names, I'm hoping that we can actually dig deep and find a few more names. And kind of match the spirits with the names to see if we can figure out who is who.
Right. Especially with all those deaths that occurred in the home, even if it's just like natural deaths and stuff, maybe some of those spirits will come and talk, coming back and wanting to visit their home and stuff. And maybe they're just shy to talk with certain people. Energies could be a little different that they don't feel comfortable with. So I'm really excited to see what you get because we do fairly well when we go do our investigations. We can usually get spirits to talk, even the shy ones. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and they like a lot of different interaction. If you go beyond the normal, just sit around and say, who are you? Where'd you come from? How'd you die? They like a lot more interaction type things. So like with the children, like our team will actually get up and we'll play games and we'll play race with, who touches K2 first wins, stuff like that.
Nice.
A really good thing that they like to do now. I do have a book there on the desk. So if there's anything I forget or not, it's got a lot of really good history in there. It's got some photographs of the Eckert family, like original writings that they've done.
Okay.
I've met with their grandson who still lives in town, and he told me all these stories. So I wrote down, things that he told me as growing up with his grandparents. So just a lot of good history that you can find there. So if I forget to mention that.
Absolutely. And this is on the desk when you walk in the Boyd house?
Yeah, it's right by the basement door. So it's got like a lot of pictures we have hanging up of the Eckert family. And then just kind of a little history book that we put together as well. But yeah, they do a lot of interaction. They like to talk on the spirit box. And it just depends on the day too. Because sometimes I get nothing, and then other days it's just like so busy.
Right.
No.
Cool. Yeah, we just got we got some really just got some new equipment in. I just got today, so I'm gonna bring some of that to the Boyd house also. So it's gonna be fun to see the interactions with the new equipment that we do have.
Yeah,
So
it took me a while, and they didn't know. I think they're still learning how to use some stuff, because they're all from in the day. They don't know,
right?
And the family that lived there before me, they lived there for 30 years, and they did have activity, but they kind of blew it all off and didn't want to engage or anything. But then as things came light of what I was doing there, the family members, people in town have come forward and go, one time I slept over there and something grabbed my feet, so like, things people start coming to light a little bit more. So they kind of blew it off. So when I got it, obviously they didn't know what a REM pod was. They didn't know,
right.
They didn't know like why she's trying to talk to me. So I think as we've kind of, evolved and I've shown them like different things and now other people coming in, we're getting a lot more equipment interactions. So a lot more of the REM pod style stuff has been going on. We've been quite a bit of equipment interaction, but they do like to play poker in the basement. We always get a lot of interaction with that. We've actually been we play 21 with a K2 meter, and it's incredible how they actually use it. So, we use it, we're like, hit it, light it up if you want to hit, don't, if your cards are, we're showing the cards, so we obviously know
what
it is, but yeah, they will or will not hit. And yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Really crazy. And so I did that one time too. And so they were playing cards and the REM pod was going off crazy for a long time. And then I had one card that I always pushed to the edge of the table, but I never it was never hanging over. It was just right at the edge, separate from the others. And I was just like, hey, if you've liked today's game, whip it off, throw it on the floor, let me know. And then finally they did it I wasn't there, but at midnight they threw it off because I had been down there at like 11:30. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to bed. So it'd be really cool if you'd let me know if you had fun tonight, because I was having fun.
Yeah.
And I got up in the morning and I found that I was so excited. I came downstairs in the basement and the card was on the floor. I just started jumping up and down and I was so excited. And then it was actually on film too. So just threw it right off. There's no explanation because it wasn't hanging over. There's no airflow there. There's nothing to cause that. And now they sometimes do it when you're sitting there. Had a couple of people have that happen if they have asked. So
guess what we're doing? Guess what we're doing?
I'm bringing cards. And poker. I have a deck of cards I'll bring.
So Jill, in your are you knowledgeable at all that one of these spirits in this house could be Mr. Boyd?
Well, Boyd is just the name of the town. So that's where that came from. Yeah. So
sorry,
Fred Eckert would be one, definitely, because we've had EVPs saying Fred's coming, Fred's here. I'm Fred. I mean, we've gotten that too. And then I've had a couple psychics say, yeah, we've seen Fred standing there. So I think Minnie is there as well, but she tends to be a little bit more standoffish. She's also a
Okay.
little bit more crabby, and I think she's the one who has kind of a raspy, smoky sounding voice. Because I get her a lot, but she'll never tell me her name. But she's always crabby. It's always
Okay.
always some snarky remark is what I'm getting from her all the time.
Okay.
You know, like
Okay.
I'm in her space. One time I was just rambling, you know, because when I'm there, I just talk to them like they're there. And,
Mhm.
you know, one thing when I bought a house, I didn't realize I have to clean it. So, you know, there's that.
Right.
So while I'm cleaning, I'm just talking. And I remember I was just rambling. I was the only one in the house. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to a wedding. You ever been to a wedding? Just da, 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 da. And I get this really long EVP, and I kind of wish I wasn't rambling so much because I talked over her. And so she
Oh.
was saying
Okay.
something, and then she said, I'm trying to sleep. So, well, here this poor woman's trying to take a nap, and I'm just in there chatting away.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow. So with that question in mind right now, do you know per se if there's like angels, demons, demonic energies, like evil energies? You know what I mean? Like, do you know exactly what all types of spirits are in the Boyd house?
Well, we haven't had anything, you know, negative, demonic, anything like
Nice.
that. Everything has been really friendly, very open.
Okay.
We do have a lot of antiques. I have purchased things that are supposedly haunted, whether they are or not. I cannot tell you that if they are.
Mhm.
The only thing that we have brought in right now that's kind of negative, and I've had the spirit box tell me they didn't like it and they didn't want it there. And I've also had a psychic say you should just get rid of that.
Wow.
But it's a particular painting, and we came across it. It's just kind of really weird. You'll see it when you go. It's like a monkey in a tree with some red chairs. It's just creepy.
Yeah.
And the woman was getting rid of it because she said she hated it. She never liked it. She always felt like it was evil. Something was staring at her. And the story was that her and her husband found it on the side of the road next to some red chairs, next to a tree, just like the one in the picture. And her husband regretted not taking the chairs. But he was like kind of fascinated by this picture, like almost obsessed with this picture.
Yeah.
Hung it in his garage, and then ended up committing suicide in front of this painting.
Oh, wow.
So she just wanted it gone. So of course we took it, and it's hanging there. And so
Okay.
we'll see. I haven't had anything negative. I guess the only weird thing I can say is that since we put it in, we no longer have power to that room. Now, again, I haven't brought an electrician out to figure out if there's a natural cause for it.
Sure.
Kind of weird all of a sudden, like now I have no power to this room.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's not the flippy breaker switch, you know. So this is kind of an oddball thing. But
have you ever tried moving the painting to like the painting to another room to see if the electricity comes back on or if it shuts it off in another room? Have you tried that at all?
No, because it's because of the color of it
okay.
It fits well in that room. But
nice.
Yeah, no, that would be something to try. But I'm happy to keep it in that back porch. So.
Oh, sure.
Just in case it's something, it can stay
right.
You know, if I could just put this out there, and I vouch for all of us here, us as paranormal investigators do some pretty weird stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, because before I started doing all this paranormal stuff, I'm looking back on that and saying, would I actually do this back then? And then in my head, I'm like, nope. Oh. Yeah, so we do some pretty weird stuff now. But what are a few of the most active spots in the Boyd house? If there's any particular ones, which ones would it be?
You know, again, it depends on the day, but I tend to have a lot more the main floor, and then the upstairs usually tends to be pretty active upstairs. So it just kind of depends on the day and what you're doing. I myself haven't gotten a whole lot into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really even a creepy basement because it's been redone, so it looks like a nice new finished basement. So it's not icky. You know, we still have a bunch of spiders down there, just FYI. But other than that,
I'm out. I am not there. I'm more afraid of spiders than ghosts.
They're just the big daddy long legs. They're not the bad ones.
Oh, okay. Well, with that being said, I'm still out. No, I'm not afraid. But so I had a question for you, and I can't process what it was now. Yeah, that's insane. Because did you guys just hear like a train horn?
Yeah, that was my work phone. Sorry.
Okay. I was gonna say because the
I
boy
just put it
house
on
is the
silent.
railroad to the unknown. So
Yeah, that would have been really weird if it wasn't a phone, but I figured.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually my work phone to kind of like get my attention when somebody's like texting or calling.
Yeah.
okay. All
Sorry
right.
about that.
I thought I was going nuts. Okay. So, oh yeah. Okay. So when we have done research about the Boyd House before, we've seen that. I don't remember which room it was, but apparently when somebody wakes up, there is a guy sitting in a chair staring at them. Am I thinking of the right place here?
Yeah, and that's like basically in the living room area. That they would see, a man sitting in a chair.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then from downstairs, you can hear footsteps throughout all hours of the night. You can feel people touching and staring and all of that. Has this been going on the whole time? Is this something new? Has a lot of people experienced this in the Boyd house?
Yeah, a lot of people get a lot of activity on the stairwell, not like when they're actively investigating it, but usually they'll be like in the living room or the parlor. You'll hear footsteps coming down because we have the two ways you can get up, either through the kitchen or through the parlor area. It's the stairwell like they did back in the day.
Okay.
And all the woodwork is original in the house, so it's really creaky, and you can really hear the sounds when somebody's going.
Okay.
We've had REM pods go off on it, motion lights. A lot of people have seen like people peeking out on the stairwell. My husband, who I'm really jealous of because he's not a paranormal guy, but he actually saw his first and only apparition he'll probably see. I've never seen one, and he gets to. But he was coming in the front door, and he was looking up at the stairs. He was carrying a box, and he's like, and there was a woman standing there with some long brown hair in white, and she's gone really quick. For a second, I thought it was you, and then she's gone.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, sure. I never got to see one, and you do. But anyway, so I was happy he got to see one. And my teammate, we were just there a couple weeks ago, and I was actually on the phone in the kitchen, and she was in the living room, and she was kind of messing around. All of a sudden, she looked up, and she said she saw a shadow peeking from the parlor, just kind of like looking like, what are you doing? And then she was like, shadow figure, and of course it disappeared, and she goes running. So and I'm like, well, I'm on the phone, what's going on? I missed it. So
I'm sitting here thinking, how creepy would that be to just be doing something, like cleaning or watching a movie or something, then you look over and see somebody there, but you're the only one home. That'd be super creepy,
right?
Yeah.
In my book, it would be super awesome, but for everybody who doesn't do what we do, they're like, what the heck? Who was that?
So would you think, Jill, the female that you described as like snarky and stuff, do you think that the person that saw that apparition with the brown hair and white, do you think that could be that female?
I'm not sure. I think because the voice I get from her, I perceive her, how you kind of get that image of what somebody would look like. I perceive that voice attached to more of an older woman.
Okay.
Where the woman that he saw looked like she was probably in her 20s. He said she was young.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Like I said, I'm not sure who she is. And like we said, who are some of these deaths? Are they tied to some of these supposed objects I bought? Are they tied to the land? Are they just passing by?
Yeah.
Those are certain things. And, and I love all my spirits. I never do any provoking.
Right.
And I always just treat them with a lot of respect. And I think you get a lot of results when you do that too. So.
Right. Yeah. We wouldn't come in there provoking at all. Our team is really, really professional. We come in, we love to play with the spirits. I especially like to play games and stuff. And there's kids there, talk. We have different types of things that we can bring for children interactions and stuff too. So, and you're right. If you start provoking people, might not be a good thing to be doing that. And it's not respectful to them, because then they're going to shut down and say, well, forget you. I'm not going to talk to you. Now you have nothing, we're not going to tell you that we're here.
Yeah. And, okay. So I keep forgetting. Okay. these items that you brought in, have you noticed before you brought these in, was the activity lessened? Like there less activity before these objects came into the house?
I don't know. I think it's still about equal. I think you just get different types of activity. I can't say it as it increased it more or less. I couldn't tell you. Because we get different things all the time. And then sometimes we get some things that are the same, but every once in a while, like, well, that's a new thing, So
right.
I like to bring them like a lot of gifts and stuff, from the time period. And actually, like one of the newest things that I brought not too long ago, which my husband thought was really creepy, was a dollhouse that I made into an exact replica of the Boyd house on the inside of it.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
awesome.
tried to make it as best as I could. I'm not finished, like work in progress, but they tend to open the doors quite a bit. If somebody locks it, obviously they can't. I mean, I suppose they could if they worked real hard, but I've had them open it on numerous occasions when I've been in there. And the first time it happened, I'm like, okay, well, I was walking around. And so you literally had to stand in front of the thing and jump up and down really heavy for it to open up on its own.
Oh, wow.
And so, I like to debunk things too and make sure like I didn't cause that. I'm the more logical one of our group as well, because I'm like, do you have your phone on you? Is this, well, it could have been, and they always just joke, they're like, that's what you always say, is your phone on? So so I'm always wanting to make sure that this is really going on, that nothing is actually causing that to happen. So
right.
And I've done that where they open the top of it. And then I was like, okay, well, that was really great. And that was after I figured, okay, I have to jump up and down really hard to get this to go. And then I turned around to do something. Then I turned around and then the bottom one's opening. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Wow.
I'm like, well, this is amazing. So I usually don't freak out. I'm like, hey, that is super cool. Thanks. I get all excited with it. So.
Right. So with your husband not being a paranormal guy, he might not understand everything that you're knowledgeable of. What is his exact thought that you are a paranormal investigator? What's his thoughts about the Boyd house?
He thinks it's really cool. He was never, he was always on the fence, like wasn't sure. But then kind of showing him some of the stuff that I've captured throughout the years. And he's like, I pretty much made him a believer. But he knows what all the equipment is because he helps me, haul stuff, maintain stuff, do batteries, all that. And so he likes to learn too, because he's like, well, what does it do? And how does it work? So then now he can explain to people because he gets all excited, like, I got to show you this video, So, because he likes to creep people out. So
that's cool though.
Yeah, but there's one spirit up in the attic that was we were doing the Estes method, and she kept asking because his name is Justin. She's like, "Where is Justin? Is he coming next week? You promise?" And she's like, "He's got a nice smile," and I'm just like, "Oh boy, you got something like you." So he was all super happy about that.
You got some competition, Jill.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my favorite thing was like right after we got the Boyd house, and it was probably like the first month or so, because we were going down quite a bit getting the house prepped ready, because we've done a lot of restoration work onto the house. We brought it back to the 1900s as best we can.
Wow.
I said, oh, hey, go talk to the ghost. I'm going to run down and get something. So I left him up in the kids' room. And now in the background, you can see the Boo Bear. He is blinking. So he's going off, but he's not even paying attention. And then he's just sitting around looking. He goes, yeah, I don't know what to say to you people. Oh yeah, I tease him about that. I'm like, you were having interaction and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, right. If he would have just turned around, he would have saw that, physical and visual evidence that it's true.
Yep.
So after a team or a person comes in and does a paranormal investigation, does that usually seem to worsen the activity of like spirits showing themselves?
No, actually, I kind of found that it seems more if you have like teams back to back. because you're keeping that energy flow going versus
Yep.
somebody who's come and nobody's been there for a whole week. And then now they got to
Yeah.
kind of start all over with everything.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like some of the days when I've had the most activity, and maybe it's just me that they're really excited to see or something, but it seems like when I've come after like, somebody's been like 4 or 5 days straight and then I show up.
Yeah.
Then it kind of seems like we get a lot, but is it because of that or they're happy that I'm there? I don't know.
Right. And I know you said when we booked the Boyd House that December 2021 was pretty dead. So with Minnesota Spirit Hunters going in and not a lot of people scheduled around, that might actually, make them want somebody to come in even more after we leave.
Right. So it just kind of depends. We've actually picked up. We got a few more coming in December. That tends to be a quieter month though.
Okay.
But yeah, so it won't be like completely dead. I do know one time it was a bad idea. I won't do that again, but I ran an EM pump in every single room for 9 hours. And that was a really bad idea because then I couldn't even work a spirit box after that. So I think I over emanated the house. And like we walked in because we went to go, I think that was the day we went to the Historical Society to get researched. And I'm like, oh, let's just light this up like a Christmas tree. When we come back, it'll be great. And we walked in, you could even feel the difference in the house. I'm like, what did we do?
Wow.
Inviting everybody to come and talk.
Yeah. And I can't remember because we were there for a couple of days, so I can't remember if it was super active or not. But I just remember it ruined the spirit box. Like it was just nothing but and I'm like, okay.
Have you ever yourself slept a night or so in the Boyd House?
Oh gosh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, you own it. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I do that anyway when I go on other investigations. People are like, "You slept in an asylum?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just blow up air mattress. I'm fine." So it's like it doesn't bother me at all. And they usually, we kind of have an understanding that, like my biggest fear is like I don't want to open my eyes and you're staring at me because that's a no-go. So we kind of have some boundaries set of like I don't care what you do, but these are the few things you do not do to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I never have a problem. But I've had like my buddy Alex on my team. He's slept there. He's had his name be called.
Wow.
You'll hear somebody whisper in his ears. The first night that one of my team members stayed there, Donna. This is before we really had any furniture or anything. So we had air mattresses in the living room. And she said she kind of woke up in the middle of the night. She heard footsteps coming down the stairwell. And she looked over, so I'm still sleeping. So she knew it wasn't me. And then she felt somebody like crawl into bed with her, like get under the covers and move the air mattress and like snuggle up. And she said it was like a small person. So it was like a childlike person.
Yeah.
And she's very grandma-like and she has a bunch of grandchildren. So she's that grandmotherly figure.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that child went to go to see her. So she's had that happen. So.
Okay.
I've woken up to voices in the kitchen. The kitchen tends to be really active in the morning. Like you'll hear cupboards, things moving around. I found the paper towels all on the floor before. There's a time when the team was sleeping downstairs. I was up in the main bedroom. I woke up, it's the old floor grate, so you can hear what's going on. And I kept hearing like low whispering women talking. I'm like, oh, the girls are up. I'm going to get up. I go down there. They're all still sleeping.
So wow.
Yeah. So definitely wasn't them, but it's not the first time that I've heard the banging of the cupboards, rustling kitchen.
Sure.
Just
yeah.
Voices. You'll hear voices.
Okay.
Almost sounds like they wanted to cook breakfast or something.
Oh, I know.
With all that banging around and stuff.
It's super early too. It's like 6 a.m. but I suppose you had to get up at the crack of dawn back in the day.
Get out.
True. It's time to wake up, breakfast.
Yep, exactly. Who wants eggs?
Right.
And we discussed that one already. What are some things that our team should know before conducting this investigation?
If things aren't working, try something else. Always think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you've been going at it, and you're getting nothing, then maybe just take a little break because they just don't want to do something.
Okay.
But yeah, just trying different things. That's kind of where we're at that point of like, well, what can we do that's different? You
Yeah,
know,
right.
to get them to interact. So, I mean, we've done, we've played music, we've done all kinds of different things, just anything that we can get them to do to interact.
Right. Exactly.
So, Jill, do you think that having a lot of trigger objects would be some of those better options to bring with us to have different styles of trigger objects? Do you think those would work better since they kind of like touching things?
Yeah, I mean, any trigger objects you have, which is different than we have, because like if you're like me, you want something new and different. So it's like,
Yeah, we got some new.
You'll be more likely to touch something new because it's
okay.
Have
you used spirit balls and stuff up there?
I did. I had a team use them one time and it just went crazy for them. And so I was like, oh, I got to get me some of those. And then they haven't gone off for me at all, but they did go crazy for them.
Okay.
But again, it's just depends on the day and who's doing what. And again, seeing that other people, that's why I love watching other groups, because you get other ideas, like I would have never thought of using these spirit ball things. And
right.
That
well, actually, we have some new, like Lisa said, we have some new equipment, and that new equipment, we kind of got a updated version of the spirit ball. It's called the Orb.
Yep.
And Boyd House is going to be the very first time of using the Orb.
Yep.
So I'm super excited to see how this is going to work, being that we're going to the Boyd House to use them first thing.
Yeah, and the orbs are super sensitive, Joe. We got them through deesghost.com.
Okay.
I just got that order today, early this morning before I had to come to work. And they are so sensitive, even just moving on my bed or anything, they're all lighting up. I have 8 of them. So it's going to be fun to kind of put them to test up there because they are very, very sensitive. So I'm really excited about that. So
how about we just make that 9? Because I bought an orb last night. So
yeah, I got 8. So we'll lay them around everywhere and kind of see.
I'll have to check in now that I'm intrigued by this. I might have to get me one of them things.
He also has copper ones on right now, but the ones that I purchased were like $10.
Okay.
And they're actually, the regular spirit balls, you can't change out the batteries, but these ones, you can actually order sensors through him also, and you can actually replace it when it goes dead.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun, but they're super, super sensitive because this morning I have them sitting on the box. I go move on my bed, all 8 go off, and I'm like, woo, those are super sensitive.
Wow.
So it'll be fun to use those.
Yeah, so, Lisa, you're talking about all these orbs, and you're talking about this, and you're talking about that. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting some equipment. And I was on Dee's Ghosts and I was strolling through. I'm like, orb. I had to get me one.
I won't tell you all the new equipment we got because we're gonna put it to the test at the Boyd House and stuff, and so then we can show Jill if we can get it to go off. I got something brand new that no other team has right now too, so it'll be fun to put that to test.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excited.
Some good results with some of this stuff. I'm excited.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm very excited for this investigation.
Yeah.
We have been getting comments throughout this whole thing. I want to take a minute to highlight them now. We have not forgotten about you, but I think it was super interesting to get some tips from you, Jill, before we go in. Stuart, if it'll show up here. Stuart, hey guys, how are you doing today? We're doing awesome. Thank you for joining and watching in before our investigation of the Boyd House. The one and only Brandon Crowley from the Fun House. Thanks for joining, for watching. And he also shouts out the Boyd House. So
awesome.
Brandon is a huge supporter for everybody. Our number one supporter. You need some support from anybody, Brandon is going to be your guy. He's a huge supporter. So
all right. Well, thanks, Brandon.
Our one and only Nicole Thompson is watching right now. They couldn't join today, so they do apologize about that. However, they will be at the Boyd House with us. So, Nicole, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching to get a little bit of knowledge before we go in. And Brendan says sometimes he loves to take the spirits home.
Of course.
And he has no choice. Jason from the Fun House as well. Thanks for joining. Let's see. And they're filming at this place, so
he was talking with Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think they're just talking in the chat there, trying to figure everything out.
Okay. Now I see. I want to take this moment to kind of open up a Q&A session with our viewers and with Jill. Do you guys have questions for Jill? Jill, do you have questions for the Minnesota Spirit Hunters before we do this? Or
Yeah, no questions on my end. I don't think so. So I'm just looking forward to having you guys out and see what kind of stuff you get.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm so super excited.
Oh, me
The
too.
new equipment that I have, Marcus, we're just gonna bring everything and we're just gonna use it all.
Let's do it. I'm bringing all of mine. You bring all yours. We got this.
Well, I'm
Brandon,
going this weekend, so I'm gonna pump them up for you.
Right.
Right. I have 2 EM pumps too. So, but it almost sounds like we might not need those there, but I'll have them on hand just in case if we're not getting anything. But we haven't had to use our EM pumps at all at any investigation we've gone through so far. So we've been really lucky on that, but I'll bring them just in case. Yep.
Brandon, this is located in Boyd, Minnesota, a small town. And Jill, if I recall right, I think I heard from somebody that not only the Boyd house is the haunted place in Boyd, there's also other places that may or may not have some energies.
Nobody's actually gone to me personally and told me that. I've heard a few people in town think their house might be haunted. But I'm sure there is. I mean, there's so much rich history back there.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm sure some of the businesses probably do, but some people are kind of funny about it to talk about ghosts, especially if you think about it. The community of Boyd is mainly, I think, like the medium age is like 60 and up. I mean, there are some younger people, but that age group tend to be like, if you talk about ghosts, you're crazy. So they still kind of have that mentality. But everybody in the town is just, they're wonderful people.
Absolutely, awesome.
So Jill, because with those train tracks that run behind, is that run behind the Boyd house then too?
Yeah. It's just pretty much right there. So it would stop in town, and that's where they would get all their meat, imported. A lot of their goods imported is that way. You'll be able to, if they are running that day, you'll actually, the time you're going, you'll be able to actually see the train running through because there's no trees. But it's pretty much really just right outside the backyard. Yeah. I mean, that was back on their property back in the day. So,
right. Have you ever actually investigated maybe out when the train's not coming by? If you got anything outside, like maybe people or people from the railroad or something coming by? Have you ever investigated outside near the railroad tracks at all?
No, we've pretty much we have done occasional stuff like out in the backyard. Really haven't gotten a lot. I mean, we were using the spirit box out there. We could hear some stuff, but not enough to make out what it said. But I mean, you definitely heard something come through because also the location where the house is, the reception's kind of so getting voices through for sure is not the radio. But yeah, I haven't done anything actually at the tracks because I had people I don't want to go right back from the house because then you're on other people's property. But if you went in through town and started walking the tracks, you totally could do that. But no, I haven't done that.
I was just curious, especially because of that train, coming back way for years back. Sometimes you just never know.
Yeah, and they did actually have a man die on the tracks in town there, but they never really figured out if it was murder or suicide. They said suicide, but they don't think so. So obviously they've never figured that out. And then they also used to not want the animals slaughtered in town, and so they would take them out to the railroad tracks and butcher them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that's well, there's kind of a lot of energy there too.
Sure.
Right. Have there ever been reports of maybe a phantom train going through there at all?
No, not that I've heard anything. So
okay.
Be kind of cool though.
It would be.
The regular train comes through, then later on you hear it again and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be actually kind of cool.
Exactly.
Well, we did have one weird experience is that Teresa was outside smoking and she saw like a guy walk by and she kind of struck it as odd because she said his hat was kind of weird, like not of this time. And she's like, he just looked up at me and, kind of did one of those and kept going. And then she's like, then she looked away and then all of a sudden he was like way over there and then way over there. And she's like, there's no way this guy could get where he was as fast as I looked away. And then she mentioned it to some people in town who are like on the town council. Everybody knows everybody in that town. And they couldn't think of anybody who would even have a hat like that or even met her description. So it could be a possibility that she may have seen a spirit walking.
Yeah.
Almost sounds like if it's a hat, could be way back, years and years and years ago too. It almost sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, she just kind of thought after that whole thing, she thought that was odd. Plus, like, being from one section to the yard to the other and then already across the street way out. She's like, you can't walk that fast. It just don't happen. So she
Right.
like, it was really weird. And I'm like, well, I didn't see it, so I wasn't there. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. But I did have a psychic tell me that you'll see a man in the yard. He likes to go out and garden. And as time has gone by, so that was like before I bought the house. Okay. And then as I've learned about the house, that Mr. Eckert was very into gardens. He did a lot of gardening. And then there's somebody in town that has claimed to actually see him in the yard and then walk into the house.
Oh, wow.
Is there a certain area that they've seen him gardening outside by chance, like a particular area?
Kind of outside. So if you come, because you'll be coming in through the back step. So as you're walking up to the back step, it would be the area to your left. So it's kind of an open area right now. It's pretty much we've mowed it down, and then there's a small section that was a smaller garden that we're actually working on taking down. So we haven't decided yet. We might do a little memorial garden for the Eckerts or something, but we're just trying to get some of this stuff down. Or I want to put like an old stagecoach in the middle of the yard. So I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
So Matt, I know you probably have to go soon. Did you have any questions for Jill before we go?
Well, I just want to say first, speaking of trains, I just had one pass behind my house. I heard it after we just got done talking about like ghost trains and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, am I hearing the train already? It's a little early here for that. Actually, Jill, I wanted to know, has anybody ever done any geological research, or have you seen any of the reports of any drilling or anything like that in the area?
No, I have not devolved in anything with that. I'm not even sure where you would start with that, but I do know back in the day too, they had like granaries and mills and all kinds of factories right in town. In fact, there is a grain mill still right behind us. Yeah.
Well, I actually just sent you. That's probably what you hear, Lisa. I found a geological report of the southern Minnesota Boyd area, and I was just doing some research as we were speaking, and I just found a whole bunch, and I just sent it to Lisa and Marcus. So if you like, you guys can just share that out.
Absolutely.
But it looks like you got a lot of quartzite and granite, which obviously can spark activity, which might be a reason why your EM pumps are acting up. Just basically an overload of energy.
Yeah.
So that just kind of was interesting to me. And the other question I had was there any particular moment when all this activity started, like after you purchased a home, or just kind of naturally happened? Was, anything specific going on?
No, it was really slow going at first. And again, I think that's because they didn't understand what was supposed to be going on, because they spent 30 years of the other family just being like, nope, there's nothing going on here. And then I come in, I'm like, hey, what's your name? Can you talk to me? Can you do this? Can you touch this? And so it took a really long time. And I think there was like one day I was like really sad. I'm like, oh, I haven't had anything. Maybe this house isn't haunted, And I was just sitting in the kids' room, and I was actually feeling kind of sad. And I was like, you really just got to kind of show me that you're here. Nothing's going to hurt you. I just kind of went on this long spiel. If you could just touch this bear, that'll let me know. And then other people are going to bring you presents. I kind of went in this whole thing, and then I left, and then the bear went off for like an hour on and off straight.
Wow.
Right after that. So I was
cool.
like, okay, well, look, guys, yeah, we're good to go. So,
cool. Yeah, we got 2 boo buddies, so I'm definitely bringing both of those.
Yeah. So yeah, it was slow going at first, and it just kind of depends. I kind of feel like you get a lot more activity almost in the daytime.
Oh, okay.
for me is what I seem to find, because it's like I always feel like, and I don't know if it's just because like, oh my God, she's here, but when I get there, it's like, okay, I got to clean, I got to disinfect, I got to do all this stuff, and I kind of get
Right.
the mindset of, work first, play later, and then they're always doing stuff or coming around, and I'm like, okay, could you just come back, and I kind of feel bad. So I've been kind of like taking the time aside when they do come to just spend a little bit and then say, okay, I got to get back to work now. So I think it for me, the daytime, and then it seems like there's a little lull for a while, and then they kind of act back up again. So
Okay.
All right. And so would you say around kind of when dusk starts to hit is when the activity starts to kind of grow, or when you can start getting EVPs and stuff like that? Is there a specific time of day?
no, not really. Everything varies. Sometimes, I just had a team actually spend 2 nights there, and they didn't get a REM pod hit till the second night at like 2 a.m, and then they were
Oh,
nonstop.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So they were just like, oh yeah, sure, our last day, It's like, so that it just kind of depends on the activity and the behavior. And I think
Okay.
a lot of it too, besides the energy that they have to have is, it's like, do they want to interact with you? Do they like you guys? Are they bonding with you? So I think that's a huge factor too. I mean, just think like if I, barged into your house and started walking all over the place and talking, and you're just probably looking at me like, what, so you got to kind of look at it in that perspective too. But yeah, so they will interact if they choose to.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cara, this being your very first investigation with the Minnesota Spirit Hunters, you know almost nothing about the Boyd House, so it's good to be on here. With you going into this investigation completely open-minded, is there anything that you want to ask Jill before we go, being that Jill is the owner and knows almost every single thing about the house? So
not really. I just want to figure it out when we get there.
right. Well,
sometimes it's what it takes too. It's just to go and see what happens.
I can actually vouch for all of us, Jill. We are actually super excited and impatient for this investigation. We just want to do it now because we've heard so much cool stuff about the Boyd House. So we just want to go in there and experience everything that we've been watching. We want to experience it ourselves.
Yeah, I'm hoping they deliver that for you, or at least give you something.
Yeah. If we only get a single K2 hit, I'll be excited. I'll be happy. Because that's just showing me, hey, you know what? It was a success because we did encounter something, and it wasn't a complete loss. You know, so I'm super excited to go, and I can actually vouch for everybody here that we're all looking forward to this. So
I am. I think to be honest, Marcus, I think we're going to get quite a bit because our team is pretty good and we communicate really well together on investigations and stuff.
And then again, we have all of this cool, new, unique, never before used equipment.
Yep.
We don't know how it works. We don't know what they're sensitive to. We don't know what they
right.
Like. There could be a new piece of equipment that we actually so happen to have that they're gonna like.
Right. They might want to play with it, especially what is it? So it's a mini antique box is what it is. I have 2 big ones, but I have this one that I just got. It's like a super small mini one, and it's a REM pod. So it's super cute. So I can't wait to like use that. It has like a light that it'll show like there's like a wire. If you go over it, a light will go off.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. And sometimes they like new equipment because they're like, huh, what's that?
Oh,
let's try to play with that,
Exactly.
So we'll see. It'll be fun.
Exactly.
It'll be fun what we get.
Just tell them there's a treasure inside it. So they got
okay. Yeah, because I have 3 of those, 2 big ones and 1 mini one.
All right.
Not to mention, we're going to have a new way of investigating too. We'll have, us virtually as well. So basically we'll have live listens right there.
For anything that our team may have missed in the nerve center or the base. Base is going to be watching every part of the investigation. So say Lisa and let's say Lisa and Cara are in one room. I'm going to be in another room with, let's say, one of our mediums, and we miss something. That's going to be the whole point of the virtual investigators. We're bringing that into investigating now. That way we have another set of eyes from a different standpoint, from a different point of view. Maybe there's some things that we're not going to catch because we're not going to look at the footage right away. So it's going to be lifetime views right there. And if they see something, hey, there's an apparition that just walked behind Marcus. Check it out. So
EVPs.
and I'm going to flip around so fast and say where. I'm going to be looking for it. So I think it's going to be a cool new way of investigating. And we're actually starting that with the Boyd house. That will be the first one that we do it with. So
lots of new stuff when we come to the Boyd house. So it'll be fun. It'll be good for feedback for you, Jill, too. Just like if other teams have questions and different ideas that other teams do to even to let out to get those ideas out there.
Yeah.
Where'd Marcus go?
I don't know.
He ran out. Yeah, so no, this is really going to be really exciting. So I know it's still a little ways out, but yeah, I'm excited. Especially playing with the kids' spirits and stuff. My our junior investigator / medium, she is young enough where child spirits love to talk with her. So it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I do know that there's a boy and a girl there, so I do know that. And the boy tends to be a little bit shyer. I've actually gotten an EVP of him that says there's like a crawl space at the end of the hall. So if you kind of open the door, so I opened the door and then I got an EVP of him saying, "Don't hurt me."
Oh wow!
I know where I'm hiding.
Yeah, and then I've gotten like another EVP from him as well. So and he was just saying like the word hide when I came across him. So I think he tends to be a little bit shyer. I think the girl likes to come out and play too, but
nice.
So
yeah, I have 3 haunted dolls that I'm contemplating on bringing up there because of the child spirits, like for interaction and stuff. So might be bringing one because I have one that just does this. She talks all the time. That's all she does. So it'll be different. We're coming at this at different angles, new type of investigation techniques and tactics. So we'll see if those work. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, we do have quite a few supposed haunted dolls throughout. Plus, they kind of give that creepy factor as well.
Sweet.
But I did have one that I just purchased from a lady in Iowa that she actually was at some psychic research institute. So she gave me her, and then the second, I didn't really get any activity that night from her, like I was, anything. But I had her sitting on a chair. The next morning, I was kind of cleaning up, and all of a sudden, I heard like this noise in the corner, and I looked, and then I saw her kind of moving like this.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, Teresa, what are you doing in the next room? She's like standing here because I thought maybe she was doing some vibration next door. And I'm like, okay, because that doll just moved. So,
oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, she could have something. I don't know. She's kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah, you never know.
Well,
never know.
I guess one of my final questions for you is in case Lisa starts to give me trouble, where can I put her on a timeout at?
The crawl space. I'm so going there. That's
a little
time
in there. It might be a little warm in there. Yeah, you can go.
That's okay. Sometimes when I'm alone, because I did that at Ripley's, I went into a room by myself and and the K2 was just going off with direct responses and stuff. So if you can't find Lisa, look in the crawl space.
There you go.
Right?
There's in there. You can
okay, you know what?
Nice.
I'm gonna write that down now because if I lose Lisa and we don't see her for hours, I know where you are.
Home base will find you. Well, home base should be able to find me.
Oh, trust me. Home base will find you. We'll do a search party.
Right.
Keep my mouth shut.
So, all right. Well, I actually have gotten so much information from you today, and I once again want to thank you for giving us so much pre-investigation advice and tips and information. It's truly helpful. before we go in there, is there anything surrounding the Boyd house? So, say we heard like something, like maybe a dog barking or like this train or whatever. Is there anything that could kind of throw us off and make us think that it is paranormal in your opinion?
The only thing I would say is just check what's going on outside while you have stuff running, say as a voice recorder. Depending, and then we're into the winter time now, so a lot of the residents are actually in town, where in the summer they all go up to the lake cabin and it's really quiet.
Okay.
So it might be a little hopping at the bar, and being as that we're close across the street, sometimes you can, on the voice recorders, very faintly hear stuff going on.
Okay.
So if you're just outside, you might want to just mentally go, okay, everybody's at the bar tonight. So maybe some of the EVPs, unless they're super clear, if they're like sound super far away, then I'd be like, oh, that's probably the bar. But if you get one that sounds like, oh my God, they were right in the room, obviously.
Right. Okay.
But just so you kind of know, that would probably be the only thing I would just make a mental awareness of what's going on outside.
Okay.
That works. Awesome. Well, Lisa, you being my co-host, do you have any final questions for Jill?
Nope. I'm just excited now. I'm going to go play with our new equipment so I know how it works.
Yes.
I'm excited to see it.
Yes. And like I said, I'm going to talk with you after our investigation and maybe set up a day to travel back up to Boyd after I get some stuff put together, and maybe sit down and have a meeting with you and with Lisa and all the investigators who went, and we can go over everything together before we actually release it as an episode.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fun.
So, awesome. All right, well, you guys, if you don't have any more questions for Jill, you don't have any more questions for us, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, thank you very much for giving us all this information. Anything is helpful. If we have any questions after this, I do have your email address. We'll email you. One question completely unrelated to the Boyd house. Do you have any episodes of St. Croix Paranormal up?
Yeah, we kind of do our own little TV show called Paranormal Patrol. So we just released one on the Granger House Museum. So all of our videos, you can find us on YouTube under St. Croix Paranormal. So that'll have like our Paranormal Patrol. Sometimes I just put like little mini videos out of like 3-4 minutes of evidence of some place that we've been.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Same here. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah, there's some Boyd house stuff there too. But yeah, so and we're just getting into making our 2022 travel plans here now. So
woo. You know what? I have a feeling 2021 may not be the only time we want to visit the Boyd house.
Well, awesome.
We might hit you back up in the future. Trust me. So, we're gonna have to get Mr. Matt from Pennsylvania to come down to Minnesota and go to the Boyd house with us.
Right.
Apparently, Marcus wasn't paying attention to the video a little bit earlier.
I don't think so.
You weren't.
I was focused on getting all this information, to be honest. So, sorry, Matt.
You weren't paying attention to my screen when you were saying about coming back. Just saying, might want to rewatch that.
Yeah, I'll probably be rewatching.
We're gonna have a surprise.
I'm not saying nothing. I played the fifth.
Are we going? Never mind. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Jill, thank you so much for joining us today. Everything was very helpful. I think you give us a little insight so we know what's going on when we get there. And honestly, it sounds like you have a really cool house. So we're all looking forward to going into that house. And I definitely think it's cool owning a paranormal team and a haunted house. So that right there is just in my book, that is absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping we can share the love of the Boyd house. Everybody watching, you can check the Boyd house out on Facebook, stcroixparanormal.com. Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to find us, and you can get a hold of us through either way. So
yes. And
awesome.
no, not that one. I thought that the Boyd house was featured on another big TV show, was it?
No, it hasn't been on any national TV stuff.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
maybe some other stuff. Some more that popular teams have come out to do is
Okay.
probably what you're thinking. Hopefully someday we will get the TV people, but we'll see.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, so we're all looking forward to it. Jill, thanks again. Matt, thank you for tuning in and doing this with us. Cara,
Not a
for
problem.
being your very first event with us. Hope
Mhm.
you're excited to actually go on this investigation, being your first one. So, all right. Well, if you guys don't mind, after the show, I'd like to take a minute with everybody and talk with you guys. So if you just want to chill backstage
Yep.
until we're done here. So Jill, thanks again, and
Thanks, Jill.
we'll talk after the show.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Matt, taking your time today, we really appreciate it, and doing this with us, being you're going to be a virtual investigator. What's going on in your mind right now? How are you feeling about this?
Honestly, I'm excited. Usually, I get excited for an investigation because number one, just being there. Because obviously of the distance, I feel blessed that we have the ability to do stuff like this, and then I can actually help you guys out. I'm really excited to see where this goes, because if theory is proven correct on, in December, this is going to be a game changing for not just us, but this is, will help out a lot of teams, because what
Absolutely.
we're doing is basically listening live to our EVPs.
Right.
And to be able to help you guys out, I'm honored that you guys would have me to do this. And I know Brian feels the same way from Spokane Ghost Crew. We're both very excited.
Yes.
And for the first time, if you guys, I know you guys see my show, or anybody watching, you see my show. I don't do notes. I don't do scripts. I have almost 2 pages already of ideas and things for the Boyd House.
Nice.
So I'm
Awesome.
really excited, to check these out and see what's going to happen.
Awesome.
So thank you guys so much for allowing me to do this with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
for
for
wanting
tuning
to
in.
do it with us.
Yes. All right, man. Well, we will talk with you after the show. Once again, thanks for tuning in for the interview, and can't wait to actually investigate with you. So I'll talk with you after the show.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Cara, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this? This is a lot of information all at once. I know something's got to be going on in your head, like, you excited? Are you nervous?
Excited. I've got 2 pages as well.
It's exciting when you can get some information about something that you may not have known about, and the activity and stuff. I'm excited because I got our new equipment this morning and I want to play with it. Well, I'm going to when I go home, but it's going to be very fun to use the equipment that I have up there, because I've got a REM pod flashlight. I got a little mini antique box. I've got the orbs. I got like 8 of them. So we just got some really cool stuff that we're gonna put to test. Well, bring it all, but because it sounds like they like to play with things, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, lots of physical interaction going on in the Boyd House. So
that kind of leads me into it though too. Is I think kind of our approach with it, because we do like to interact. We do like to do things or set up games or things like that, and especially if that's the way they are. So our approach that we have we might come up with some stuff.
And honestly, we might uncover something new that nobody has done yet. So that would be awesome. It would. That would be super awesome. I'm super excited to see where this goes. So fingers crossed that we get some good stuff. Cara, thank you for joining us for this interview. We look forward to investigating with you for the very first time. And I will talk with you after the show.
What time is?
What's that?
What? It's December 18th?
December 18th at 3 p.m. is when we start.
Yep.
And we're going to go all the way till December 19th at 12 p.m.
It's a long investigation, but we have plans and stuff in place. So
absolutely. We got a whole plan. All right, guys. Well, Cara, I will talk with you after the show. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Lisa,
Yeah.
how are you feeling about this? You know,
I
you recently just hosted your very first big investigation.
Mhm.
Do you have more in mind with the Boyd House than you did with Edinburgh Manor?
I'm actually really excited to do this with you this time.
Yes.
It'll be fun to see how everybody works together when
Mhm.
both leads are there.
Yep.
And just kind of our approaches that we do have.
Mhm.
It's going to be a smaller location than Edinburgh Manor, obviously.
Yeah.
But it sounds like depending on your approaches to go in there, either A, we're going to get stuff, or B, we're not. But I don't
Exactly.
know. My gut's telling me. I think 30 minutes after we get set up, I think it's going to be talk time. This is what I'm feeling because of our approaches that we do with spirits.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw you backstage. I'll talk with you after the
Sounds
show,
good.
but thanks for co-hosting this interview with me
Yep.
and getting all this pre-investigation insights. So, I'll talk with you in a minute.
Okay.
All right, guys. First of all, I want to thank all of my lovely team members, even the one behind stage being a brat right now. So I definitely thank all of my team members for tuning in and talking with Jill about this haunted house in a small town that used to be a big town, a big booming town, and I think it's super cool to have a haunted house such as the Boyd House. So, so that is a few things about the Boyd House. You can find St. Croix Paranormal on stcroixparanormal.com, and on YouTube, just type in St. Croix Paranormal and find all their videos there. You can find this on YouTube tomorrow if you missed anything. But anybody who did tune in, we thank you so much for joining us. And remember, stay safe, have a good day, and happy hunting.
Audio Jungle.
This program is intended for mature audiences.